Hey girl,
Welcome back.
to How Did I Get Here?
That's Taylor.
And that's Abby. Today we're going to rate our jobs, careers.
Yeah, we picked a bunch of different categories and we're just going to do a 1 through 5 rate how we feel about each of those major categories in our career. Join us, pick up some numbers between 1 through 5 and let us know how you rate your own careers and things
Write it
like
down
that. Right,
below.
write
Let
it
us
down.
know.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's our first category?
Let's go with managers first. Let's rate our managers.
And this is for me, just so you guys know, my career will be nursing, by the way, that I would rate it on. And I'm going to be rating this, like, because I've had hospital nursing, and then I'll do, like, I'm a school nurse now, too. So I'm just going to do it, not like my specific manager, but just managers in general and how they can be.
We'll do it in general. Of course, I'm in retail. I've been on the sales associate side and also management, but of course, I've always had a manager over me, regardless of my position. So I'll just do it in general over the years, how I felt about all of my managers. I don't even have my numbers up. Let me get to it. I'm ready.
Half a second later. Okay.
You ready?
What'd you give it?
A 3.
3 as well. You go ahead.
I will say managers are needed and they're important. However, I don't think everybody is meant to be in management, and I think because there's so many different personalities in life in general, a manager just has to be very well rounded and understand who they're speaking to and how they're speaking to you. I think it's just an overall feeling that made me give it a 3, but I have to think of specific like instances that brought me down. I will say just realizing that there's so many, like, people often nowadays, I guess you can say, joke around about like being OCD or being like a very detail oriented person, and I feel like a lot of people in management like throw it off on being OCD, I guess you can say, which I don't even think is that. Sometimes it's just like wanting things to go their way,
But
like
also
their
because
way or
they
the
have their
highway.
own boss that's going to get on them.
That's
Things don't get
true.
perfect for them, so now they're on you.
That's true.
That's why they're OCD. No, you're
Right.
worried about your manager getting on you about
Yes.
those other things that are falling through the cracks.
Yes, I would say one thing was them like being detail oriented to the point where nothing you did was right, or like they would give you like slight instructions and then you would realize later on that they should have told you more on how specifically they wanted things done, but they wait until you finish a whole project. Or like if you're re-merchandising the floor, you'll put like all the jeans over here, you'll put all the t-shirts in the middle and sweaters over here, or however you do it, and then they come back the next day and like, you know what, matter of fact, it was supposed to be this way and that way. They'll just throw the biggest fit as if you were doing nothing at all when there's so much to do. Between like being called to the registers when you're a sales associate on the floor, sometimes if they have a large line or a long line, they'll call you up to ring for, it can be 45 minutes, an hour, however long they need you. And then you have clothes piling up in the fitting room and people trying on like 20, 30 outfits, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's the point of retail. It's supposed to be therapy. You're supposed to have fun and try on all you want to, but that piles up in the fitting room. And then you have like kids tearing things apart and throwing things on the floor. It was just a lot to do. So like sometimes it felt like you couldn't, get
And I think
everything
in my hospital specifically, I think managers, you know what? The very first manager I ever had, I will give him specifically a 5. His name was Al. I love it. Everybody loved that guy so much. He hired me. He interviewed me. He would always actually come to work in scrubs and offer to help. He would be on the floor, and he knew we were so many new grads, and he would answer us, like answer any question we had. Like he got to know us. He would know when I was looking at a med order or some kind of calculation or something, and I was puzzled, and he would be like, Abigail, what's up? Like, do you need help? And he would mean it genuinely. If your patient had a cold brown, they pooped everywhere, and he was in his scrubs, and he saw his texts were busy, you want me to come in? Like he was that guy. And then they brought in other managers who would just sit there all day, come to work, and they're like, you know, regular clothes and dressy clothes, and they really would only be behind you to tell you what you're not doing, what you need to do more, and micromanaging because of other people not being able to do their jobs. They really weren't that helpful. They really weren't empathetic at all. And I think maybe that was the problem with him. I know he was very empathetic with us in scheduling, and I think we talk about that, scheduling and work-life balance, which we'll rate that as well, I think. But he was very empathetic with that. Like, he tried to give us certain shifts that he knew that he could make it work, but for some reason the other older people there that had more seniority than us didn't want to make it work, and so that got on their nerves. It was like a lot of dumb stuff. So other than him, that's why I would rate it a 3, because other managers, as they saw us getting more and more fed up with the way things were, then they started to become more empathetic, but before that they were not, and some of them weren't. Like, I'll never forget this one manager. Our contract, like, we had to work at least, I think, 3 winter holiday or 2 or 3 winter holidays, like even summer holidays versus winter holidays. But basically, she signed me up for like all 4, because it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Day, and I think she signed me up to work all of them
Intentionally, like she knew.
Because they were short, and so they said, well, and I think if you have less than 10 years, you have to work at least 75% of them. But if you have more than 10 years on the job, you only have to work like 50% or even 1 or 2 of the holidays or something like that. So they had so many people there who had that seniority and they were short. So I asked her that. I was like, well, the contract says I only have to work this number. And she said, well, it doesn't say in the contract that I can't make you work all of them. So, and I was like, well, at the time I didn't know that if you call off I thought if you called off on a holiday, the world exploded. I didn't know. But I ended up just like calling off, I think, because it's, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I think I just ended up calling off on New Year's or something. And I wish I would have honestly called off on Thanksgiving because I cared about that more. But I was like, y'all are not going to make me work all these holidays. So stuff like that where you have some managers who don't care and then the next manager kind of care a little more. But the empathy didn't start until he saw that we were on our way to quit.
I definitely had managers that would go out on the sales floor with us, help us clean up, help us like get everything organized. If there was a new guidance for the store that all stores had to, like a standard that all the stores had to be up to, they would help us set up for that or remind us of things that we needed to check on from emails and things like from our corporate team. So overall, I have had like a good batch of managers, and I also have had little instances, which again, nobody's perfect, but I have had little things where managers where it's like, no, I'm not going to deal with that.
Next one is just like the training videos. Every job kind of like has their little introduction training videos, modules that you have to do. Like
videos. Are you ready? Okay, you ready? Let's go. I give it a 2.
Okay, I almost thought backwards. I thought it was a 5. I was like, whoa.
No, not at all. I could maybe possibly give it a 3, but I don't think I want to. I'm gonna stick with the 2.
I'm neutral. I don't like them, but they're annoying. But sometimes they could be helpful, but not really.
Yeah, I just feel like it's obviously just to cover the store or wherever you're working. It's to cover the business's butts just in case anything happens. But it's nothing that for me, that's not how I remember things. Overall, watching those long videos that they've now figured out a way where you can't even like fast forward through them anymore. Watching that for like no reason. I will say after you watch it for so many years, you start to remember a few things. But overall, I think they need to improve. Actually physically like doing like not a mock but like doing an actual simulation of what should happen. Like, of course the videos talk about emergencies, and I don't know if this is every company, but they'll talk about like the chemicals you can use if you're like cleaning something and what's dangerous, what you need gloves for, this and that. It's like all the labels, I'm not gonna remember any of that until I'm actually in a situation or until somebody physically shows me this is where this is, don't touch this, or put on gloves to touch. Like, I'm not gonna remember all of that stuff. So the training videos, you just sit there for hours and hours.
I remember I was gonna say that it's another way that it shows that companies give you a task that if there's not enough hours in the day to truly complete them. Because I swear, I feel like every job I've ever had, they assign like 50 videos, and then by your day that you're actually supposed to start, did you get those videos done yet? No one. I've never had the videos done, and there's always a problem where either the only people who didn't have them done were people who didn't have complete direction on what to do or how to complete them. There's always some random link or website to go to that you can never remember, or like most people who have it done are people who found a way to skip through. Y'all was all cheating off of each other. But some people who didn't do that, they actually sit there. If you really, that's the thing. If y'all really wanted people to sit there and do those videos, it would take a whole week to do that.
A whole year older by the
so
time
like
you finish
again,
that.
like you were saying, they don't give you enough. Managers are on your butt because they don't give you enough time to actually like do your job. Then they give you these darn videos and like you're not done.
Right.
Okay, I guess go sit over there in the corner and get them done. Like they make you feel bad that you haven't had them done yet.
And still have everything else you need to do for the day done.
Yeah, and now you're a day behind in your training because we had to take another day for you to do those things that you should have done at home and not gotten paid to do them at home.
Oh,
that's what they're basically saying. Yeah.
A mess. Do better.
You do better, job. Do better. Okay, that was number 2.
Yes.
Our third one is break rooms.
Yes.
Break rooms. Okay. I got. Do I have a number? I got. You know what?
Overall, okay.
I have a
Overall
number, and this is
for
me
all the
being-
break rooms I've been to.
I'm ready.
You ready?
It's harsh. I give it a 2.
Oh,
For
you didn't like
nursing?
the break room.
For nursing, no, because I will say nursing is very uneven, and I think maybe if you're giving that, and I know you've had a number of break rooms in your day, nursing you just never. It is you never know. It's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get because it depends on the hospital. It depends. I've been in some decent break rooms, but I think the majority of nurses don't have enough decent break rooms with enough space. I will never forget during the pandemic, especially they were starting to try to make us spread out.
Yeah.
We would still even have to share space with like 7 or 8 nurses on the floor. And I know everybody's not taking them. Well, honestly, here in the state of Illinois, to be honest, you take a break when you can. I think in other states, like keep in mind, like when I traveled to California, everybody has a designated break time. It's for some reason those hospitals in California.
Like 15-minute break or like
No,
your
like your
lunch
full
break?
30 minutes or your full 45 or hour. It depends on how you want to take it.
Oh.
Yeah, like you actually got a break in other states. It's law that like, okay, during the first couple hours of the shift, they would have a paper that would slide around. What time are you going to take your break?
Yeah, we
and
do
they,
that in retail too, but in nursing you don't have to.
Not
do
in
that.
Illinois, not in Chicago. No, in Chicago you eat
I
when
think
you
we
can.
just did it because like just to keep people on track because people would do whatever. So we as
I mean, they did it for us because in nursing, like you want to make sure patients are truly like you actually want to give a nurse give the nurse their break while the patients are actually being covered. So I know that from 1 to 1:45, Taylor will not be there. So I know as a charge nurse, I'm covering her patients, and also I assign this nurse who now we're kind of in our slower period to help cover. And if that nurse actually has some crazy emergency, then I'm going to help cover Taylor's patients, or I'll grab another nurse who has a slow moment to make sure these patients are covered. And then you know your break is going to come up around 1, so you try to get as much done as possible. But if you couldn't pass meds to this patient, you just kind of let your nurse know, hey, they have something due at 1. I didn't get to it earlier. So in California and other states, you get a designated break, but in Chicago, you don't. So we just sit around when we can. And if it just so happens that we all kind of have a lull, a little break time around like the same time, and it's like 4 or 5 of us, we all don't have enough space to be like sitting in the break room really taking a break. And it was very small. And I will say in school nursing, a lot of the time it's just whatever school you get. Like I've been at certain schools where they have even the actual nurse's office. Let's start there. Sometimes you don't even get an actual office. I personally, while I love my school, I love my coworkers, I have a broom closet as my office, and it's shocking because then I go to other schools that are much larger and they have more, and I'm not complaining about what I have, but just in general, it just is what it is. So I don't even have a break room. My break room is my office. Most people, teachers, I don't even think teachers really have teachers do have a break room. And again, it just depends on your school and what you have and how big it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times your break room is probably your car because you don't want kids to constantly keep funneling in and bugging you for Band-Aids and boo-boos when they could just go to the office and get that.
I'm that person for sure. I would take my break in my car because you do not, if you stay in there and take your break, you'll never actually get a break. Somebody's going to stop you. They're going to have some little question. They're going to want to know if they can take tomorrow off or anything. So I would typically go to my car for my breaks. I will say my first year when I was in an area where I couldn't really bring my car to work, I would stay in the break room, and it was okay. The only thing I will say is that it was next to our store manager's office, so while it's supposed to be your time to like chill and say how you feel about what's going on the sales floor, we couldn't really do as much close.
Same with us, the manager, because you might be talking crap about your manager and they walk in the break room and then you're all like...
So I wish it was the time to just like meet with your coworkers. I felt I felt pretty good about the break rooms then. But as I moved on to management, yeah, a true break did not happen at all if you were inside of the break room. Of course, we had like a TV in there. You'll have your refrigerator, your microwave, all of the basic essentials. So I don't think it was too bad. I wanted to take a break. I was not. You can't find me unless you call my phone. You will not be able to locate me.
And I need to start
like it has to be an
doing
emergency. But I feel like nursing, well, especially when you were actually in the hospital, it may have been a little bit different because I feel like if I actually had patients, like people who needed me, I would feel bad and I would want to be in the building. But for retail,
but
I'm like, y'all will be okay.
It depends on the policies you have set up. Because again, in California, it was expected that you will go off the floor to take your, it's expected, don't bother me on my break.
Yeah.
Other states. And in Chicago, they don't care about that. It's like, yo.
If they see you,
your patient needs you. They pooped. Go clean them up.
Goodness.
Or they're in pain. Go. It'll be something simple. Like if you make sure mostly everything is done, the charge nurse could pass a pain med. They could look at the chart and see when's the last time they had a pain med and give them the darn pain med or tell them wait 20 minutes. They could do that. But again, when you're in Chicago, it don't work that way. But like in other states, it does work that way. But Illinois, it doesn't work that way. So yeah.
Okay.
The next one is pay.
Okay.
Pay for your hard work.
What do I rate that? I feel like I'm not giving a variety. So let me. Okay. I think I have my.
Are we doing the same thing? 3,
I have
4?
4.
Oh, I had. Okay.
I think I'm amazing. I could always get a little bit more money, but I think overall, the pay was okay. But I do think in general, especially if you're not in management as a sales associate, I believe that they deserve a lot more than they're getting. Because even thinking of myself, my first year in retail, I wouldn't say you do more than your manager, but you probably do as a sales associate just as much.
Grunt work, moving around, doing a lot of the stuff the actual stuff that's on the floor that people see. Like you're busy doing that all day.
And I think, of course, managers have a lot more back of house things to do. Like if you're checking emails or making sure you're up to the store standards, or just making sure that you're checking your attendance sheets, little things like that you have to do and step to the back for. I think managers multitask a little bit more from front to back of house, but for sure sales associates do a lot more of the grunt work, and depending on your manager and if they're actually working side by side with you, which a lot I know don't. I hear so many of those stories, but yeah, you will end up doing a lot of work that goes unnoticed as far as pay wise, especially. So minimum wage should be the cost, equal or equivalent to the cost of living. Everybody should be able to afford their basic necessities, have a place to live, be able to afford groceries and things like that. So until minimum wage is equivalent to that, I will say that pay is not where it should be, and it won't be a 5.
I think the amount of time and energy and effort nurses put into going to nursing school and passing a board exam, I just don't think that it's equivalent to what they get paid, especially when they first start off. I just think it's really lowballed. I think especially in the beginning.
Really?
And I think you have the ability to make more and more as you go on. So I think maybe I could bump it up as a 4, because if you really commit yourself to nursing, you could definitely easily crack 6 figures. But also for me, I rated it lower because it might be the specific school system I'm in, but they want me to go back to school again to get a whole nother, it's called become a certified school nurse, just to make what I'm worth. And I already passed my board exam, and there's nothing that they're going to teach me that I couldn't already learn on the job, that I already haven't had to learn in nursing school and pass the board exam and NCLEX for already. So, and also, like I said, for certain other school systems to get paid what you deserve as a nurse, a school nurse, you don't have to go back to school to get that certification to do your job. So, and other clinicians, again, as a school nurse, you work alongside the psychologists, the social workers, speech pathologists, case managers. None of them have to go back to school for over a year and study to take another board exam that apparently is harder than the NCLEX, because I know more nurses that had to retake the Certified School Nurse Board exam than the actual NCLEX to become a nurse. To me, it's just a whole nother hoop to jump through that I just don't understand. And because of that, I'm making way less now than I was when I was working bedside in the hospital, only because, not because the job is easier, but only because they just want you to go back to school, which makes no sense to me. So that's why I kind of rated it a little lower. But again, you go anywhere else and you work as a school nurse somewhere else. I haven't really spoken to school nurses about how they get paid in other areas, but excuse me, it's just my experience thus far.
Depending on how high up you decide to go or where you decide to be within your position, you can make a lot more. But I also think it comes with a lot more stress. And I don't know if I've ever been, well, I did get pretty close to that point, but I don't think I'm willing to go even farther.
You get to a
stress
point where like the
more.
stress is still not equivalent to that pay.
Yeah,
like you're
really
getting here and it was already, like you said, you're doing the grunt work,
yeah,
but you're not getting paid enough. But then like, oh yeah, you're getting paid more, but then the stress is up to here.
Yeah, it goes from physical labor to mental, especially like I think store man, as far as like inside of the store, if you're not doing like merchandising or buying or anything inside of the retail store, you can probably get up to like a store manager or regional, which they get paid very well, but you'll again have to deal with a lot more within retail. Okay. Last thing that we're gonna rate is schedules and work-life balance, because those just go hand in hand. So
I need a 0.5, but again, I'm giving, like you said, I'm the one. I'm good. You ready? Think. You think?
Overall, okay, let's do overall.
That's why I was gonna give it.
Ooh, I need a 0.5 too, but I'm gonna bump it up. You're bumping yours up.
Down.
You're bumping it down. Wait.
For work-life balance, I would say.
The number I have is up from what it should be, is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Mine is down from what it should be.
Oh, okay.
No, you're right, because if it's 0.5, then you should round up. Okay, I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 2.
Oh, okay, well, I'm going, you know what, I'm going to be a copycat and give it a 3. That's what I was, let me just say quick.
I was going to do 1.5, but I gave it a 2.
Okay, here's the reason why I gave it, I almost wanted to give it a 4, because in terms of just scheduling with nursing. I know people know a lot of nurses, if you're working in the hospital, you can work like 3 days, like you can work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of 1 week, and then be off like the rest of the week, and then maybe the following week you might work Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it looks like you've almost had a week off. So in terms of just scheduling, nurses can better schedule their lives probably compared to what her schedule was.
Yeah.
Granted, I worked in a hospital where I had to work the 5 days a week. I had to work 3 to 11:30, and even you had to work 40 hours a week. Nurses who can do the 3 days a week, 36 hours a week is counted as full time, 1.0. Anywhere else, like at my hospital, it was part time, so you had to work the 40 hours. So work-life balance, I'm gonna give it a 2 or 3, just because I will say the amount of stress that you have at your job. Like when I was working the 3 to 11:30, and even if you work the 3 days a week, you never truly feel like you can escape from your job. Like it's such a mentally challenging job. Like it's so mentally challenging on you that even when you're off, you're always dreading going back for the most part. And again, with my current job, I kind of rated it a 3.5 to a 4. Just a great schedule because you're on their schedule for the most part. You get all holidays and weekends and summers off, and then some of the other major holidays. It can be daunting, but like again, it's difficult to complain because you have the summers off and you have the opportunity to work again over the summer if you want to make even more money than what you're making. So for me, it's a struggle because, especially when I first went back to work, it was a struggle because I'm at work all day and I barely even got to see my daughter. It depends on how far you have to travel for your job, but I would only get to see her for maybe 2 hours a day before I put her to bed, and that was it, because she would go to bed earlier, around 6:30 or 7. Then like it's just dinner, bath time, bedtime, a little bit of playtime, and it wouldn't be that much. So when they're really young, before they go to school, it wasn't that great. This school year was somewhat of a challenge, but I was blessed to be able to have some time off. So it just depends on what your lifestyle is like. Do you have kids? Do you travel a lot? Like, do you want to particularly travel in the summer more? Do you like having the holidays off, or do you like having more free time? Because again, like because they give you all those days off, guaranteed, you really don't have much flexibility in like saying, oh, my family takes their annual Valentine's Day trip to Australia. Like you can't do that. Like you can't ask for time. Like, you can't put in PTO for Valentine's Day week because your man wants to fly you to Cancun. Like, it doesn't work that way. You do get some personal days where you can, like, you get 3 personal business. Every school system is different, but for us, you get like certain personal business days per year. Where like if you really need a random Wednesday off or something, you can like put that in, but you only get 3.
You can't take a week off.
No, you can't like just take a. There's no PTO. You can, if you're sick, you can call in sick. You get 10 sick days, so you can call in sick.
But I guess, like you said, you guys do have your holidays and your weeks off anyway. So
yes.
Kind of.
So
it's not what you choose.
No, they don't care. Like I said, if your family does an annual Cancun trip in February, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
But like for Christmas and stuff, you could take a trip because
you already have 2 weeks off.
I see. Yeah.
You're gonna get Thanksgiving week off anyway, so plan your vacation. You have the whole summer off to travel, so plan it then.
But no Valentine's Day.
No
trip with you guys.
No. Yeah. Don't do it if you want to be a school nurse. Yeah.
Got you. See why you gave yours a 3, and I'll tell you why mine is a 2. Specifically, like you said, you have holidays.
She didn't get no time off. Yeah.
That is our busiest time of the year. Every holiday is when we are like bum rush because everybody's back home from school. The kids that aren't like away at school, they just have time off. Everybody is in the store, and it's like Christmas, so everybody's preparing, getting their gifts. Thanks, like every single holiday, even summer in general, it's just a time when everybody's home or everybody's like off of work for the most part, or just a different schedule. So it can get very hectic, very chaotic, and it's time periods where they call it like blackout time, basically, where you're just supposed to, I don't think it's like, obviously it's probably not law, but you just should not take that time off in retail or just expect people to dedicate themselves during those times because of how busy it is. And I will say it does get very, very busy. In general in retail, I think you just don't have work-life balance because it's not, for some people it's not what they want to do long term. It's just like a quick and easy job, and so they're not dedicated to the job the way other people are. So they'll call off all the time, and then your manager will call you in or see if you want to come in, and it's just like a random Tuesday that you think you have off. Nope, your manager's calling you, and then sometimes you may feel bad about not wanting to pick up the shift, which I learned as I've been in retail longer and longer that a lot of people don't feel bad, so I no longer feel bad either. But you will definitely get called to pick up a random shift. There's the go-getters out there that want to work every day of the week or don't mind being randomly called into work, but for me, I really thrive on having like a plan. Even if that plan is to do nothing, I like to have a plan of what I'm going to do for the day. So the random calls for me sometimes were a lot, especially when I first started working. So I will say that there's no set schedule really in retail. During holidays, we even have like extended hours, so we'll open an hour earlier.
Tell them to wrap it up.
We almost done. Hi, Mia, girl.
She's sleepy.
I know. We're almost done.
We're on our
She don't
last
care about me.
Sleepy, huh?
It's time for bed.
girl.
What happened to your bow?
Do
you know me or
She didn't
something?
have it in her mouth.
You think you know me or something,
Hey, girl.
So there's people who don't want to be managers in school nursing because they know you can never turn your phone off.
Oh, no.
They know it. And I totally feel that too.
Do you all have set shifts or like schedules? Do they give you like for the week or for the month? These are the time that you'll be working. Because I would say our times definitely vary.
In the hospital, yeah, you set your schedule like when you put in your schedule like about 2 months ahead of time.
Okay.
And so then like when the next schedule is it's time to put in the next schedule, it might be about like a month before. Then you need to do for 2 more months out.
I would say we definitely did like 3 weeks out, but still it could be one day you're working 7 to 4, the next day you're working 1 to 10.
It's very set.
Yep.
Like that's what I'm saying. You have to have seniority to get to day shift.
Okay.
So my schedule, I only work 3 to 11:30. That's it.
Yeah, which is still tough, but I would definitely say having a set time every day is a little bit better than 1 to 10, and then you have to come the next day 8 to 5. So it was just a variation all the time, and that's something that you have to get used to in retail. So that's why I give it a 2.
All right. Well, guys, as you can see, it's someone's bedtime here. So we're gonna wrap this up.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Not my poor phone my poor phone hit the floor.
Mia said, "Wrap it up."
Wrap it up, Mom.